Okay, so today I am making my Christmas cookies for everybody who keeps asking me for the recipe, but I just thought this would be much easier to do. Okay, so we'll start with half a cup of all-purpose flour. I don't use all-purpose flour, I use the pastry and baking flour just because we're baking and it's a pastry. So it's half a cup of flour. I'm just gonna find my half cup. Alright. Half a cup of flour in a bowl, a separate bowl, because we're going to sift this and all the other dry ingredients together. So, there's my half cup of flour. Then it calls for a quarter cup of cocoa powder. I'm just using this normal run-of-the-mill cocoa powder. Quarter cup of cocoa powder. There we go. Sort of just level it off a little. There. Now, what else? We have a teaspoon of instant espresso, or just instant coffee. I use this Nescafe Rich French vanilla just because the normal stuff isn't as good. So I use the French vanilla. It adds a little bit of extra flavor to it and makes them taste quite a bit better, I find. But you can use just normal old-fashioned instant coffee if you want. So it calls for 4 teaspoons of the instant. I love this thing, by the way. It's a KitchenAid little thing, and it's adjustable. So you only need the one instead of 4 different spoons. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they can be heaping because, you know, you can never have too much coffee, right? So, and there we have the coffee. And now 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm just using this normal Magic baking powder. You can probably get it anywhere. That's 1 teaspoon. We don't want it heaping just because it really does taste awfully bitter. So we're just going to put that there. There we go. There's that. 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So there we go. Now I'm using this half salt stuff just because it's quite a bit better for you, and let's face it, these cookies, they're not the healthiest thing you can eat. So I try to, along the way, make it as healthy as I possibly can. So just 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt right there. Close that. There we go. Okay, and now we're just gonna sift this stuff together. I don't know what to do with that. So, just sort of, I use a whisk, but you can use an actual sifter, and just sort of sift it all, mix it all evenly. Make sure it's consistent the whole way through. It'll sort of, you don't want too much on one side and too much on the other. So we're just mixing this up. There, that looks pretty good. It doesn't take very long. So there, that's our dry ingredients. We're going to place that right there because we'll need it in just a minute. Now, for the wet, we need 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Now, it helps if you take the butter out and have it at room temperature, but I kind of forgot, but that's nothing new. So yeah, I tried to put it in the microwave. That didn't work too well, so just get it out beforehand. Make sure it's nice and soft because that'll just make this whole process a lot easier. So we're going for the tablespoon on this gizmo, and we want 4, and this is unsalted butter, just because it's a little bit healthier for you, because these things are just so unhealthy. 2, 3. It's a little bit hard to get out of this thing though. They didn't, yeah. There, 4 tablespoons of butter. There we go. Now, we're going to mix this with 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar, packed brown sugar. So, get your 2/3 of a cup out. And we're going to pack it in there really well. Stuff as much into this 3/4 cup as you can. Don't leave it too fluffy. There we go. I think that's just about as much as we're going to get in there. You can dry for a little more, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, so we've got our 2/3 of a cup of packed brown sugar in there with our 4 tablespoons of butter. And we are going to mix this together. We're going to mix it so it's nice and smooth and fluffy, the butter and the brown sugar. Now, I am going to be using some good old-fashioned egg beaters because I sort of broke the mixer. I mean, you're not supposed to put the spoon in when it's on, and I did, and there was some sparks, and yeah, it was bad. So now I have to use egg beaters, but if you have a mixer, it is so very much easier. But if you don't, this works too. I'm using this nifty Tupperware thing, and it's got this crafty little lid that you stick on, and then you can stick it in, so you can turn it on high and it doesn't sort of fly everywhere and get all over the kitchen, and yeah. So we're just going to turn this on and mix it really well until it's all mixed together and light and fluffy. Okay, so there, it's light and fluffy enough. So we'll just put that there, peel this off. There, it's fluffy and light and all mixed together. So there's no chunks of butter in there that are visible, and that's how we want it. And now we're going to mix in 1 large egg. So just any brand, doesn't really matter. Now, usually you should break that into like a bowl first so you don't get eggshell in it, but I'm like a pro, so right. Anyways, moving on, and we're gonna put in 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. Now I'm using the Baker's semi-sweet chocolate, so it's like 3 of the little packaged pieces, and I chopped it all up beforehand and melted it in the microwave, so it's all nice and melted in this little dish. Now, point of order. If you put it in the microwave like I did, I put it on first 3 minutes thinking, okay, that'll do it. You can burn chocolate. I didn't know, so I don't know if you noticed some smoke hanging around back there, but that was from the first go at the chocolate. Yeah, 3 minutes too much, so I put it on for a minute, and that seemed to do it perfectly. It's all melted but not burnt, and that is how we want it. So I'm using a rubber spatula, and I'm going to scrape the chocolate. I let it cool first because you don't want it too hot when you're putting it in there. So scrape the chocolate into the bowl with the brown sugar, the butter, and the egg. Scrape that in. Make sure you get it all. You don't want to waste the chocolate because, let's face it, chocolate rocks, right? Now this chocolate is just semi-sweet. It's not like a chocolate bar. So it's just a little bitter. You can use bittersweet chocolate or chocolate bars if you're so inclined, but I use the semi-sweet stuff. It's a little bit healthier for you, and it's not